Twitter Spaces will soon be available on desktop. Instagram announces new Stories Drafts feature. Clubhouse announces growth plans and strategies. All this and much more coming up in this week's edition of the Connected Church News. And we also have a bonus section where we are talking about how to use social media as a fundraising and awareness tool for nonprofits and ministries. You don't want to miss that. Welcome, I'm Natchi Lazarus. This is the show that brings you the top 5 digital and social media news each week in less than 5 minutes. Let's get started. Our first big news of this week is from Instagram. Instagram announced last week that they are bringing the drafts feature for Instagram stories. Instagram stories, as you know, are very popular and it's a great tool to reach people. And there are millions of people checking Instagram stories on a regular basis. So you as a ministry, I'm sure you are already using stories in a big way. Now you can save your stories as a draft. You can create a story and save it as a draft. Now this is a small feature, but it can be really useful. For example, I'll give you a small case study. If you are a church or a ministry and you have an event like a church service and you're creating stories at the moment during the event, but you don't want to yet post those stories because maybe you also want your audience that are in the event to engage with those stories along with your online audience. So you might want to wait just for the event to finish and then post it. So in that case, you can keep saving it as a draft and then post it. So just one example, but there are lots of applications for this feature for nonprofits and ministries. Do check out this announcement from Instagram. Hey, are you enjoying this news episode? If so, I'm going to ask you to like this video and also subscribe to our channel if you've not done so already. And also click the bell notification if you don't want to miss any news episode. Staying on top of the news can give you a real edge as a communication leader. All right. Thank you. Now let's get back to our news items. Our next big news is from Twitter. Last week, Twitter announced that they are starting to test Twitter Spaces availability on desktop. So you will soon be able to use Twitter Spaces on desktop. If you've been following our news, you know that Twitter Spaces is the competitor of Clubhouse, the very popular audio chat room app. And Twitter has been working really hard in adding new features to this product, and they've also announced last week that they are expanding Twitter Spaces to a wider audience on Android. So if you're an Android user and you've been missing Clubhouse, then you might be able to start using Twitter Spaces very soon, which is very similar to Clubhouse. Our next news is from YouTube, and this is from YouTube Shorts team. YouTube Shorts is the stories version of YouTube, and now the team has released a help video which talks about how to use Shorts effectively, how it works on the newsfeed, and how to reach people and so on. A very helpful video, so I wanted to bring this to your attention. And this follows the announcement from YouTube that YouTube Shorts is now available in US. They have been testing YouTube Shorts in different markets, but recently they announced that it has been released in the US, and now this help video has been launched as a follow-up for that. So do check it out, and I highly recommend you look at YouTube Shorts as a format or a content for your nonprofit or ministry, because short videos are somehow, people just love that form of content. They're spending a lot more time on short videos. Our next news is from Pinterest. Last week, Pinterest released very interesting statistics about how people's search behavior on their platform has changed. Pinterest is a visual search platform where there's lots of traffic about people's lifestyles and trends. And I always look at Pinterest very closely to understand the shift in audience thinking. And this statistic really caught my attention, and I wanted to share with you because as nonprofits and ministries, it's important for us to understand how people are thinking. And this statistic says 80% increase. Pinterest saw 80% increase in searches for rural travel. 85% increase in searches related to countryside travel, 75% increase in searches related to lakeside houses, and so on. So it's very interesting. People are starting to travel after all the COVID lockdown and so on, but they're also changing the way they think of travel and the way they approach travel. So if you as a nonprofit ministry want to understand this audience behavior shift and kind of tweak your content. If you have audience who travel a lot, or if you're in an area of ministry where you need to minister to people in that area, then this is something that you really want to keep in mind while creating content. Our final news of this week is about Clubhouse. Last week, the co-founder of Clubhouse talked about some of the growth plans and, more importantly, the challenges that the platform is facing. I wanted to bring this to your notice because this could indicate some of the challenges that are already there in social media, and also some of the challenges that are coming, which you and me as a leader of nonprofit need to be aware of, so that we can tweak the way our ministry uses social media to reach people. And this interview, he specifically talked about Android platform, which Clubhouse is planning to bring very soon in the next couple of months, and how that opens up the floodgates for people to just join the platform, which is a good thing. But at the same time, it comes with its own challenges of more people creating more content, which means Clubhouse starts facing the same dilemma that Facebook had in the beginning on what conversations to select and recommend to the user, and keeping them on the platform without they feeling overwhelmed with the amount of content that's being created with millions of people joining the platform. Those are the top 5 news items I had for you this week, but we are now moving into the bonus section where we are talking about how to use social media as a tool for fundraising and to raise awareness about your nonprofit or ministry. It's a very important, interesting discussion based on a recent report by Facebook and recent statistics on how Facebook as a platform has been doing on the fundraising space. So you don't want to miss that. Let's dive right in. Welcome to this bonus segment. We are spending the next couple of minutes talking about how to use social media as a fundraising tool, and we are anchoring this discussion on last week's news announcement from Facebook that they have reached a new milestone of raising $5 billion on the platform. So basically, if you look at the graph, I will attach, if you're just listening to me as an audio, I will attach the findings with the graphs and everything on the show notes. So do check it out. If you look at the graph, you will see that people have been using Facebook and Instagram to raise funds, and the level of fundraising has seen a steep increase from 2019 to 2021, because in 2019 the total amount was $2 billion, which went up to $3 billion, and in 2021 we are not even at the finish of the year, we are still in the middle of the year, and the figure has already touched $5 billion. So I just want to talk about a few things here. First is the mindset about social media channels, especially channels like Facebook and Instagram, where you constantly hear about the negative things, the fake news, and all the other things that you think, should I really use social media? Are people really using social media? And so on. And while you're thinking about it, nonprofits and people around the world have raised $5 billion on the platform. Now think about that. I'm not saying all that is not valid. I mean, the fake news, the negative things, the privacy issues, all of them are very valid. But I also want to bring to your attention what's happening with social media. While all of this is happening, active users are continuing to increase. People are continuing to use social media. And you and me as a nonprofit or ministry, why are we here? We are here to serve those people. So if people are continuing to use it, we need to figure out a way to continue using it ourselves and be there for people, help people, serve people. And if fundraising is one of your goals, use social media to raise funds, because at the end of the day, you are fundraising to serve more people. Right? So just a shift in your thinking might do you a lot of good as an organization, because instead of looking at social media as something that you fight against, look at it as something that people are continuing to use and continuing to have as part of their life, and think about ways in which you can add value to them by being on the platform. So I want to give you a very few tips, very quick tips. Just 4 tips for you to start thinking about social media as a fundraising platform. First is select the right channel. Look at 1 or 2 channels. Select maybe just 1 or 2. Don't select too many at the beginning, because then you can focus on it and you can study it. You can study the different fundraising tools that are available, because every channel has tools. Facebook, for example, has tools built into both Instagram and Facebook, in stories, in newsfeed, in all sorts of features that they have. they have fundraising tools built into it. And it's going to take time for you to study that. That's why I'm saying select one or two channels, spend time studying them, find out what will fit you, make some, work on some foundational stuff related to that, and move forward. So that's point number one. Number two, after you select that particular channel, have clarity on your messaging. How are you going to message your audience on that channel? Depending on the channel. For example, if you use YouTube, then you might have to think of videos and shorts and so on. If you use Facebook and Instagram, you might have to think of your messaging in a different way, because the platform itself can take the message in a different format to the people, and the people's mindset on different platforms are different. So the second tip that I have for you is have clarity on the way you take your message or present your message to your audience on that platform. So develop that strategy, that content strategy that you're going to have. Develop it, give it a lot of clarity, involve consultants if you have to, involve your social media team, involve other experts who can help you clarify your message. So that's number two. Number three is use visuals. Use lots of visuals and stories, because honestly, as nonprofits and ministries, the only way you're going to connect to people by wading through all that noise is by using getting their attention with visuals and stories. Stories are powerful, and social media is all about stories. People come to the platform to encourage themselves, to find stories that are similar to themselves, their own stories. They want to connect and feel, they want to see something that they can relate to. So if you can tell a story, and people out there that who feel that they can relate to that story, then they will support your cause. They will jump on the bandwagon. They will donate. They will spread the message. They will create awareness. Whatever you want them to do, they will do it. But you need to tell those stories, and if possible, tell them with visuals, because visuals are the ones that get people's attention. So visuals and stories, that my tip number three. And finally, tip number four is engage with genuine teams and be real and constantly reply to people's comments. I see so many ministries and nonprofits just posting, people reply, they comment, but nothing, no response from you, because you're so busy. Now, how do you expect people to donate or participate in your fundraising or create awareness for you if they don't hear from you? Right? They need to know that there are real people behind this organization. There are real people responding. So respond to every single comment. Respond to every single message. Try to be as real as possible. Don't use bots. Use bots in a strategic way, in a way that you have to. I'm not going to go into that topic today, but using bots is fine, but try to keep things as real as possible. Try to, so that people know that there are real people behind this organization, and they want to support you, and they want to join you, and they want to use your fundraiser, and also spread awareness about your fundraiser. All right. So those are the top quick tips I had for you. I hope that was useful. I'll also link to this particular study or the report from Facebook about the race in fundraising on social media. So do have a look. Very fascinating and interesting. That's all I have for you this week. Thank you for joining me. But you don't have to stop learning. You can click on this playlist that has answers to some of the questions that leaders like you have asked us about social media and digital marketing for nonprofits, churches, and ministries. Do check it out.